Did you file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden?
Ish.
Yes, I did. Yes, I filed articles of impeachment on Joe Biden because he is guilty of abuse of power. We all know it. He knows it. Everybody knows it. That man, when he was vice president of the United States, abused his position, the powerful position of the vice presidency, to help his son, Hunter Biden. He's on camera threatening a certain prosecutor, saying
He didn't threaten him. He was talking about how he did his job right. Oh my God. This is what they're going back to. The video of Biden going like, you need to get rid of that prosecutor, which the World Bank, the WTO, the European Union, Congress, Obama, his boss, were like, we need to do this. And Biden's point man, so he's like, I'll call him. He's like, this guy's got to go. And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to call Obama. He's like, do it. What I'm doing is in line with what the president wants.
that he would withhold $1 billion to get this prosecutor fired.
It was loan guarantees.
Because that prosecutor, the Ukrainian prosecutor, was going after Hunter Biden.
No, he wasn't.
And then there is a pattern of behavior there with Joe Biden, the entire Biden crime family.
Okay, so now we're just going straight up Rudy Giuliani.
Look at him. Joe Biden himself, James Biden, his brother, and Hunter Biden. They're like a crime syndicate.
Are they?
They use their position, they use their influence, they use their power to make these business deals with foreign countries, their energy companies.
I've never heard anything like this.
They've done it in Ukraine. It's currently happening in China. Hunter is still an owner in that business in China. So you think about this is the most dangerous thing. We have
It's super dangerous, guys.
a president currently in place, Joe Biden, who everyone knows is not mentally astute.
Whoa, shots fired. So we're just totally playing the hits from the 2020 primary at this point. So you're just saying that he's got dementia. So he's a master criminal in charge of a giant crime syndicate, but he also can't tie his shoes without help.
Who is not strong. He's basically a puppet by his entire administration.
Well, then he's a victim of the crime family, not the leader of it.
And then he has his son that is willing to abuse his father's influence just so they can make money beyond their wildest dreams.
Well, I mean, obviously not beyond their wildest dreams. Why is it that Biden's wildest dreams are a modest home in Delaware? Seriously, is a modest home in Delaware your wildest dream? Honestly. I'm guessing Trump's lifestyle is beyond Biden's wildest dreams because it's gross. You know what I mean? You have your wildest dreams and you're like, what's my line for my wildest dreams? Where it switches over from being a dream to a nightmare. You know, like I'd really like it would be nice to live in Manhattan in a relatively large place. You know, like, my wildest dream would be like an entire floor in a Manhattan high rise where I have a view of the city and the park and that kind of stuff or whatever. But beyond my wildest dreams is gold furniture, gold comforters, mirrors everywhere, basically like this new money Coke castle. That's beyond my wildest dreams.
So absolutely, I did introduce articles of impeachment on.
Absolutely, I totally did. Not really. I just filed it. I didn't realize it was harder than I thought it was.
Joe Biden. And this is when the media lost their mind and the Democrats decided to do anything they could to stop me.
No, that's just ridiculous. We had a Democratic congressperson who filed impeachment articles about Trump early on that wasn't in line with the rest of the party, and everyone's like, go easy, buddy. Believe me, there'll be plenty of opportunity for that. And he jumped right at it and posted them. Nobody dove after him the right-wing media did. I guess Fox went crazy. They played clips of it repeatedly during this impeachment trial. They just vilified him.
Had me removed from my committees.
So what happened?
They had you removed from your committees not because you filed impeachment articles. They did it because you were calling for armed insurrection. You were walking out of there, the night before, calling on patriots to come to the Capitol, and you were lining yourself up with the violence that happened on the 6th. That's why. And then once everybody took a look at you for saying that shit, they went and realized, oh, you're a QAnon. And that's dangerous and psychotic. And then they found the videos where you said that Sandy Hook and Parkland were fake. And then they realized they'd put you on the education committee and the budget committee and went, yeah, that's a mistake.
What happens now since you've done that? How does it move up the ranks? What happens?
What happens?
Well, right now it's sitting over with the Judiciary Committee. Nothing is happening with it.
Nothing will.
So I'm hoping that we can give it some time, because
yeah, just let it sit there. It'll grow like a tree.
I would love to see us take back the majority in 2022 and actually do something with it. But they are such hypocrites, extreme hypocrites. Look at the impeachment trial happening with President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump isn't even president right now.
Yeah, but he committed his offenses while he was in office, and we've been.
He is a private citizen, and they're running a circus in the Senate trial right now, doing anything they can do to smear his character.
Well, anything they do to smear his character, I mean, that's clearly not true. They're actually being fairly nice to him, considering what actually happened. And the whole, like, they're doing anything they can, that statement, they keep repeating that phrase. Anything they do, they're willing to do anything. Really? Really? I mean, I understand hyperbole, being what it is, but she genuinely believes this, that Democrats are just willing to do anything to get rid of Trump. Well, they weren't willing to call witnesses. So obviously they have a limit.
And stop him from running for president again in 2024, because they fear him more than anyone in this entire country. They fear him more than China. Yeah. They fear him more than Russia.
Well, because Russia and China are outside the country. And Russia and China can verbally attack our elections, and it really doesn't have an impact because they're a foreign voice, and people recognize that. But when you attack from within the country, that does more damage.
Yeah. They fear him more than Iran, who, by the way, is enriching uranium as we speak.
President Trump allowed them to do that. He got out of the Iran deal.
But they're obsessed with.
How much more character can Trump's character be? How much more besmirched can it be? Doesn't he live in just kind of a generalized besmirchedness? Yeah, none of us are afraid of Trump.
Hating Trump.
Wow. So let me just say this here. With them, hating President Donald J. Trump. I thought that Joe Biden got 81 million votes. So why
he did?
Are they scared of President Trump running again?
Because he's going to lose again, but he will drum up this idea that he was cheated or that he lost, continuing to attack our democracy. He will lose by a bigger number next time, but he'll run entirely with the base of the Republican Party behind him on the premise that it's going to be a rigged election and that you can't trust American elections, and he will attack it again from the inside the entire time. He ran against the election itself more than he ran against Biden.
They're making it seem like that Joe.
I'm dead serious. Go back and look. We did all the rallies. He shit on the election process way more than he did on Biden as a person. He would just write Biden off all the time. But he attacked our elections nonstop.
Joe Biden, quote unquote, is supposed to be the most popular president according to
yeah, he is.
The left-wing media.
The left-wing media, like Fox's pollsters.
Even those on Fox News.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point.
Well, that's a great logical, common sense comment there. I'm not sure why CNN doesn't want to run with that and why they just don't feel the need to stop wasting our taxpayer dollars running this Senate trial. Because like you said, if Joe Biden is the most
she did this visit, on Friday.
Most popular president ever and got 81 million votes, then my goodness, why would they be afraid of Donald J. Trump?
Because he will run against our democracy, not for the presidency.
Well, I think.
And if he was able to, let's just say, by the way, there's nothing that says a former president can't run for governor of Florida if he just decides he likes the prestige of just being in office and he wants to control one of the states and be the next Rod Blagojevich. And by disqualifying him, you don't just disqualify him from running for office, you keep him from getting government contracts. And we already know, because he spent 300 plus years of presidential salary just golfing, that of course he shouldn't be allowed to have government contracts. He can't be trusted with national secrets.
I think we all know the clear answer there. And God, I'd love to see more about it, but we don't want to get your show canceled and talk about all that.
Okay.
Canceled?
Let me ask you another thing.
Please do.
There's military up there surrounding the place. I heard fences are up there with the razor wire. Okay, Marge, Congresswoman, we are concerned about that as average Americans.
Yeah, the average American can't understand why. Why do we have to have all these? What caused them to put up barriers around the Capitol? Never mind the fact that there were 2 people arrested, both armed, one with a BB gun, who said, it's just a BB gun, when they started to approach, as if he wasn't going to use it to make people think he was armed. And the woman he was with had a loaded gun, multiple magazines, and a letter for Joe Biden. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the letter wasn't positive. It wasn't like, I'm here armed to show you how great I think you did during the inauguration. I think it's fantastic that a man with a stutter fought all the people attacking him for having allegedly dementia because he has a stutter and made it to the White House. What a beautiful thing for all the people in the country who have a stutter, that somebody can move past that and ultimately raise themselves up to be president of the United States. I'm guessing that wasn't the content of the letter. It was probably a little closer to the Unabomber manifesto or the shit that was written by that dude in the van who sent the pipe bombs.
Because we don't know what's going on, and we feel like something is going on up on.
What's going on? Oh, please tell me that Diamond and Silk think that March 4th is actually going to happen, and that they think that the walls and the razor wire around the White House are because Trump's still president. Please tell me they've gone full Q.
Under our nose. Can you tell us anything?
Something's going on under our nose. They put up the walls and the security checkpoints around the Capitol, not because of the extreme violence, the attack on the Capitol that happened. The first time blood was spilled there in the name of a political insurrection since, I think, 93, but the first time ever that the Confederate flag was ever flown in the country's capital. They can't imagine why you would put checkpoints around that for the time being until some of this shit ratchets down. Meanwhile, by the way, she's still firing on it was a stolen election and Biden's the most corrupt person ever and that the rhinos are all bought and paid for and that the deep state, blah, blah, blah. All the people that the crazies want to kill is exactly who she's targeting. Like they're all 3 of them are sitting there painting targets on the backs of people in Congress and in the Senate. And then she's like, is something weird going on? Did they put those fences up just so we're not allowed to see, even though there's not a fence around C-SPAN, dumbass?
Think about that. What is that about?
What is it? What is it about? Could it possibly be?
Well, to me, it is. Number one, no one agrees with the attack on the Capitol on January.
No.
None of us do. We have all.
No, they don't agree with it. It was totally underarmed and not what it was poorly constructed.
Said it's terrible.
Are you wearing a backpack or is that part of your shirt? It's part of my shirt.
We've all denounced it. Unlike AOC and Rashida Tlaib and the ladies that had to express their extreme outrage over the attack, they were not in the chamber when it happened. I was in there and I was terrified. It was very scary and people lost their lives that day. So it was a terrible day, but the hypocrisy is so disgusting.
What's the hypocrisy about it?
The American.
She's not asking you about last summer. They're going, why is there fences with razor wire around the Capitol right now? Is something else going on?
People have been through riots this entire year where their cities have burned, their businesses have burned, innocent Americans have been attacked and killed.
Right. One of them being George Floyd. These are incomparable situations. No one called for abject violence. And even the unrest is people walking in the street, yelling at all hours, having protests, having marches, not the looting and burning. But again, Boogaloo Boys show up, burn down some black businesses, then they can report on it. The right-wing echo chamber gets to facilitate it like over and over. It becomes a news cycle for them. They get to play it in their own defense of Trump.
Retired police officer David Dorn lost his life. I mean, this is...
Yeah, he was killed by a black looter. He's a black man. This is not something anybody called for. Nobody said, somebody needs to shoot these off-duty cops or retired cops who are guarding shoe stores. What are you talking about?
It's federal buildings.
Yeah,
federal buildings, right. Why are they putting fences around the federal buildings? What's going on? Are they moving the children out into the space laser?
Federal buildings attacked, statues torn down, police precincts taken over, police fighting these people night after night after night without ever firing a bullet.
What?
Which is unbelievable to me. But yet,
because they were given riot gear and rubber bullets. There are people who are blinded by rubber bullets. This is the United States. We're not in Yemen.
Congress, the elites of the elites.
The elites of the elites. Jews.
When something bad happens to them, they erect a border wall around the entire Capitol and bring in 30,000 National Guard troops. But
it's the capital of the goddamn country. What are you talking about? The rest of the entire functioning United States government would not fall if a 6-block area of Seattle gets blocked off. What? It's the goddamn capital, you psychopath.
No one was willing to do that for the American people.
What do you? Yes, they were. What do you think the federal troops, the National Guard, the local police were doing?
Over this entire year, none of them were willing to do that.
None of them were willing to what?
None of them did.
Again, none of them, never, not ever, never. Like the hyperbole is hysterical.
Announce those riots, and they don't care to help them now because they're still going on in cities like Portland and Seattle and even Washington, D.C. just this past week. And so that's why I've started.
What was the big part of this past week?
Calling it the House of Hypocrites. And Nancy Pelosi is like the queen sitting up there with her gavel. She's the greatest hypocrite of them all because President Trump wanted 10,000 National Guard troops before the rally on January 6th, but was denied. But now look at them calling.
No, he wasn't. He didn't request 10,000 National Guard troops for his own people.
And they're great big military, making it like a military state and building their border wall. But, the American...
Building their border wall, but now at a stroke of a pen, removing our border.
Yeah, we be stroking. With the stroke of a pen, getting rid of our border wall. It's a temporary barrier. There's a difference. We do recognize that there was an emergency. They're still securing the Capitol. They have to do a bunch of stuff before this Capitol's secure in case they decide to take it down. And all those jackholes that were down that we just looked at in Florida decide all to drive to D.C. in one big lump sum in 3 months or 5 months going, we needed to stop this. This is still March 4th is coming up. They know that's a date. They know it's a danger date. They're going to keep the barriers up until after then.
Wall for our protection as Americans.
It doesn't make
right.
sense.
I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's because you're not in danger from people coming across the border in general.
Another question that we keep hearing is that nobody is really in the White House. It's not functional.
Oh boy. What did I say? What did I just say? These assholes, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that there's a fence around the Capitol because they're doing nefarious shit and that Biden's not actually at the White House. Biden's been at the White House since the 20th. His own wife just did decorations on the lawn. He walked coffee up to one of the, and they're going to play on this. Oh, good God.
So I'm going to ask you.
Is Biden in an Amazon production of the Oval Office?
Is the White House functional where they have staff, where things are being done, or is our country at a standstill?
What?
Well, I haven't been to the White House since Joe Biden has been there. I was there with President Trump this last month before he left, but
Leading up to the 6th, you mean, when you were coordinating with people? Oh, yeah. How did that work?
Yeah, they seem to be functional because he's signing over 47 executive orders. He's like a Democrat tyrant. He's a tyrant.
Yeah, he's a total tyrant. It's 47 undoing Trump's things. Yeah, I'm sure you were clamoring about the tyranny of Donald Trump when he was signing away DACA.
Tyrannical leader. That's what
He's totally tyrannical.
Have in place.
Yeah.
And the House.
Yeah, making budgetary decisions. I mean, like every tyrant moves in to make sure that LGBTQ people are protected in their job and makes his staff sign an ethics oath. What kind of, I mean, this is tyrannical.
Of hypocrites is the same thing.